There is a strange moment in personal finance when nothing about you changes, but the room changes around you. Same haircut, same wrinkled shirt, same awkward parallel parking outside the bank. But the teller sees one number on the screen, and suddenly your name sounds warmer in their mouth. Yesterday, you were the guy checking if rent cleared before buying groceries. You were watching the mortgage draft, the car payment, the insurance bill, the credit card balance, and that one subscription you keep forgetting to cancel. Today, one account balance quietly crosses a line, and the world starts acting like you became smarter overnight. Most people think wealth building is about becoming a completely different person. More discipline, more confidence, better habits. And yes, habits matter. But here is the part most people miss. A lot of money psychology is not about how you see money. It is about how everyone else sees you once your money becomes visible. If you like calm, honest financial breakdowns with real examples, real numbers, and no hype, subscribe to the channel before we go deeper, because this is not a video about how to become rich fast. It is about the invisible net worth levels where banks, strangers, friends, and even family begin treating you like a different human being. The core idea is simple. Money itself is boring. It is numbers on a screen, lines on a statement, maybe a slightly nicer app dashboard. But quiet wealth is not boring at all, because quiet wealth changes the rules around you before you even understand that the rules have changed. There are 3 financial lines that matter more than people admit. The first is around $100,000, where compound growth finally starts feeling real. The second is around $1 million, where institutions begin noticing you. The third is $5 to $10 million, where work stops feeling like survival and starts feeling optional. But there is a fourth thing hiding underneath all of them, and it is the trap. The trap is that no number naturally feels like enough. The target moves, the lifestyle adjusts, the brain adapts, and before you know it, the person with 1 million feels behind the person with 3, while the person with 3 feels small next to 10. That is why financial education for beginners often misses the emotional part. It teaches budgeting, saving versus investing, maybe credit score explained in a neat little chart, but it rarely explains what happens when your financial life improves and your social life gets more complicated. Picture a man named David. He is 42, lives in Ohio, drives a used Toyota, and has a paycheck routine so boring it could put a room to sleep. Every Friday, he pays bills, moves a little into savings, invests a little into an index fund, and feels like nothing is happening. His friends think he is too cautious. His brother says he should enjoy life more. His coworker keeps telling him about house flipping, crypto, and the next big stock. But David keeps doing the small, unglamorous money management stuff. Then one day, he logs in and sees his net worth cross $100,000. The funny thing is, nothing dramatic happens that morning. No fireworks, no private banker. No stranger in a suit knocks on his door. He still makes coffee at home because the drive-through coffee started feeling weirdly expensive once he actually tracked it. But the inside of David's head changes. A car repair no longer feels like a personal emergency. A medical bill is still annoying, but it does not immediately become panic. His checking account is no longer a waiting room where every dollar sits nervously until the next bill walks in. This is the first level of wealth building strategies that nobody makes a motivational poster about. It is not luxury. It is not status. It is the quiet ability to absorb a normal life problem without your entire month collapsing. And that is why $100,000 matters more than it sounds. Not because it makes you rich, but because it proves something to your nervous system. It proves that you can create distance between today's problem and tomorrow's paycheck. Most people think the first big financial milestone is about buying better things. The better house, the better car, the better vacation photo. But the real first milestone is when money stops being only a way to spend and starts becoming a wall between you and chaos. What actually happens is much less glamorous. Your emergency fund gets stronger. Your credit card debt stops controlling the calendar. Your investing tips finally start making sense because you are no longer trying to learn the stock market while your rent is breathing down your neck. The part people overlook is that stress charges interest too. When you are always behind, you make rushed decisions. You take the bad loan. You keep the expensive car because selling it feels embarrassing. You ignore the credit score because opening the app feels like touching a hot stove. After a few months, that pressure becomes normal. After a few years, it becomes identity. You start saying, "I'm just bad with money," when the truth is, you were trying to make calm decisions inside a financial fire alarm. Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave the free checklist there so you can spot which hidden financial traps might be quietly draining your cash flow before they turn into bigger problems. Now, the second line is where the story gets more interesting. Because $1 million still sounds magical in American culture. People say millionaire like it comes with a mansion, a boat, and a secret room full of gold bars. But this is where the fantasy meets the spreadsheet. $1 million invested at a 4% withdrawal rate can produce about $40,000 a year. That is real money. That can cover rent in a cheaper city, groceries, utilities, and some breathing room. But it is not private jet money. It is not never look at prices again money. And yet, this is where institutions start changing their voice. The same bank that once charged you $12 for not having enough money now begins waiving fees, offering better credit card terms, inviting you into programs with softer chairs and nicer language. That is the uncomfortable truth about personal finance management. The system often becomes cheaper after you no longer desperately need it to be cheap. Fees disappear. Loan options improve. People return your calls faster. The financial world loves stability, and it rewards people who already have it. David notices it slowly. First, a credit card offer with a better limit. Then, a mortgage refinance conversation where nobody talks down to him. Then a bank employees, then employees. Let me connect you with someone who can help manage this. And David realizes his money is now big enough to be someone else's business model. But here is where it gets interesting. Most millionaires do not look like movie millionaires. They are not throwing champagne on a yacht. They are sitting in a dentist waiting room, checking their 401k, wondering why eggs still feel expensive. A typical millionaire may have home equity, retirement accounts, index funds, maybe a small brokerage account, and a paid-off car that still makes a strange noise when it starts. The money exists, but it is not always sitting in a checking account ready to flex. So the second level does not always make your life look rich from the outside. It makes your options richer behind closed doors. You can negotiate better. You can borrow differently. You can say no to bad financial products that used to feel like your only choice. Here is the psychological trap. Once your net worth grows, your comparison group grows with it. At 50,000, 100,000 looks impossible. At 100,000, 1 million looks like freedom. At 1 million, 5 million starts looking like the real number. This is why people can improve their financial life and still feel behind. Their budget got better. Their investments grew. Their debt-free journey made progress. But their brain quietly moved the finish line while they were sleeping. The mind adapts fast. The first time David sees 6 figures, he feels proud for a week. The first time he sees 7 figures, he feels shocked for maybe a month. Then the number becomes normal, and normal is a dangerous word when your peace depends on always needing more. And that brings us to the third line, the one nobody really understands until they are close enough to touch it. Around $5 to $10 million, money stops being only protection. It becomes permission, not permission to act wild, not permission to be careless, permission to stop negotiating from fear, permission to leave the meeting, permission to hear a manager say something ridiculous and think calmly, I do not actually need this job. At $5 million, a 4% withdrawal rate can create about $200,000 a year. That is more than many American households earn from full-time work. Suddenly, work is no longer the oxygen tank. It is a choice, a project, maybe even a game. Think about it this way. At the beginning, your financial life is like carrying groceries in a paper bag during a rainstorm. One small tear, and everything starts falling through the bottom. A car repair, a late fee, a medical bill, a bad trade. One mistake becomes 5 problems. But as wealth grows, the bag becomes a box. Then the box becomes a locked room. At a certain point, the same problem that would have destroyed your month becomes a calendar note, a phone call, maybe an annoying afternoon. That sounds small until you do the math. The rich are not always smarter. They are often just less rushed. They can wait out bad markets. They can ignore panic. They can let stocks recover. They can repair a rental property without putting the bill on a credit card at 24% interest. This is why cash flow is not just a number. Cash flow is emotional oxygen. When it is tight, every decision feels like a threat. When it is healthy, you can think in years instead of Fridays. And that difference shows up everywhere. In investing, it means you do not panic sell just because the market drops. In real estate, it means vacancy does not ruin you. In trading, it means one XAU-USD loss does not turn into revenge trading because you are trying to win back rent money. Comment checklist below if you want the free money checklist. I'll pin it in the comments, along with the private community details for deeper breakdowns on cash flow, investing behavior, and the traps that quietly slow people down. Now, here is the honest solution. Before you chase a bigger number, audit the one you already have. Look at every recurring payment, every debt minimum, every insurance bill, every eating out habit, every little leak that feels too small to matter by itself. Start with one simple question for each line item. Does this payment protect my life, improve my life, or quietly prove something to other people? That question sounds basic, but it will expose half of the financial traps most households never see. Then, separate necessary spending from emotional spending. A mortgage can be necessary. A car can be necessary. Insurance can be necessary. But the bigger version of each one is often not necessity. It is identity with a monthly payment attached. Next, look at total cost, not just monthly cost. A $700 car payment does not sound as heavy when the salesman stretches it over more years. But the math does not care how friendly the payment feels. It still takes cash flow away from your future. If you invest, make it boring enough that you can actually stay with it. Low fees, consistent contributions, simple funds, and fewer panic decisions often beat complicated strategies that collapse the first time the market turns red. And if you trade gold, stocks, or anything fast-moving, protect capital before chasing opportunity. A clean setup means nothing if one emotional entry can damage your account, your confidence, and your ability to think clearly the next day. The deeper lesson is this. Money does not only reveal how much you have, it reveals how you make decisions under pressure. A bigger net worth helps, but it does not automatically fix fear, comparison, insecurity, or the habit of proving yourself through spending. The real goal is not to impress the teller at the bank. The real goal is to build a life where one number on a screen does not decide whether you feel safe, respected, or enough. So ask yourself where you are right now. Are you leaking cash flow through small habits? Are you carrying debt that quietly controls your choices? Are you chasing a number you never personally chose because someone else told you that is what success should look like? Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave the free checklist there so you can audit your cash flow, spot the hidden traps, and find the private community details if you want deeper money breakdowns. Because the moment you stop letting the world define your financial finish line is the moment money finally becomes a tool instead of a scoreboard.